from WREG in Memphis. This is News Channel 3 at 4.
Breaking news first at 4. The voluntary manslaughter charge against David Swift has been dropped. Swift was indicted in 2022 for the murder of his wife, Karen. She was found dead in October of 2011. The jury found Swift guilty of murder but unable to reach a unanimous verdict on the voluntary manslaughter charge. Now that's the charge that was dropped. District Attorney Danny Goodman says he has filed an appeal to the judge over that dropped charge. Swift is also facing charges in Alabama where he is accused of stalking his second wife. He faces extradition there. Also breaking at 4, the Corinth School Board has unanimously voted to fire their superintendent, Ron Childress. This decision stemmed from the recent arrest of former Corinth teacher Wilson Jones. He allegedly used AI to create child pornography of students. The board and frustrated parents say that the lack of transparency and failure to act months after the discovery prompted today's firing. And closer to home, a woman is behind bars, captured by U.S. Marshals for allegedly killing a man. Marshals say that Antonika Brown shot and killed Jeffrey Washington inside a home on Cottonwood Road. Authorities say that today, when they attempted to arrest her, she tried to trick the deputy marshals and the task force. Caught on camera, your news leader obtained shocking video of young people in a shootout in the middle of the day outside of a Raleigh convenience store. All of this happening on a busy street where people travel. It's frightening video of a gun battle on Yale Road that could have been deadly. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me for the News Channel 3 First at 4. I'm Noah Sershin. Alex and April are on assignment. As WREG's April Thompson reports, the age of one of the people involved in this video might shock you.
This surveillance video clearly shows what happened outside Yale Discount Tobacco convenience store on Yale Road March 7th. Watch the group of teens walk up and approach a red car. Another teen walks to the store and tries to get inside. The doors are locked. Then someone in a black car across the parking lot pulls out a gun and starts firing. The other young people retreat behind the red car and then pull out weapons of their own, and the gunfight begins. Bullets flying across the parking lot and down the street as the group of young men fire and then run away. In a media statement, police say the same group had entered the store minutes earlier, armed with handguns, and threatened to assault a person after asking for that person's shoes. They left and came back a second time when this parking lot gun battle broke out. The owner of this convenience store says he's seen the kids before. They live in the area and actually come in the store all the time with guns. It's why he put up this sign saying, "No guns allowed." But he says the sign clearly didn't stop the young men from brandishing their weapons. And take a look. He says one of them was a young boy who appears to be about 10. As far as we know, no one seems to have been hit in the melee. Police say they also have made no arrest.
That was our April Thompson reporting, and if you know anything about the shootout, call Crime Stoppers at 901-528-CASH. In a crime alert, Memphis police need your help looking for a man who robbed a Family Dollar store. Police say it happened just before 9:30 on March 12th on Cleveland Street. A man pretended to purchase a pack of toilet paper and Gatorade, but as the clerk opened the cash register, the suspect reached over, grabbed money from the cash drawer, and left the store. That suspect is also responsible for another theft at the Dollar Tree on Lamar Avenue. Police described the suspect as a black male with neck tattoos. Call the Crump MPD station at 901-636-4793 with any tips. Well, a shocking crime spree. Police say a woman committed multiple armed robberies while holding an infant in her arms. 22-year-old Arnisha Taylor is charged with aggravated assault, child endangerment, and theft. Authorities say Taylor and Honesty Howard stole from 3 stores in late June. Each time, Taylor allegedly pulled a gun on the employees. Howard later turned herself in, identifying Taylor as the armed suspect. Taylor is now out on her own recognizance as the case moves forward. Reports of stolen flood assistance checks are getting the attention of federal lawmakers. At least 5 Tennessee Helene victims says it's happened to them, someone else cashing their checks. Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn saying this afternoon that she and her team are trying to figure out what's going on.
when people that are entitled to benefits are being defrauded, this is something that we have to investigate. And then those individuals that are committing that fraud need to be prosecuted, because if they are getting money that they're not entitled to, it means there are benefits and services that are not going to individuals who are entitled to it.
The senator also encourages anyone that has had their FEMA check stolen to visit blackburn.senate.gov and send a request for assistance.
Much calmer weather here over the last 24 hours. Cooler weather as well. Look at some of these lows this morning. A lot of 30s, 38 at Memphis International this morning, 35 in Jackson, 38 in Tunica. Those numbers won't be nearly as cold this morning. Blytheville is close to the freezing mark. Again, tomorrow morning should be more upper 40s, low 50s. 69 degrees. We've rebounded nicely after those 30s this morning. Plenty of blue sky, a little more southerly flow starting to kick in. The winds will be a story over the next 48 hours. It'll be more breezy tomorrow, so wind gusts up around 30. I think those gusts could approach 40, 45 come Wednesday afternoon, but other than that, no real adverse weather coming our way. High pressure for now kind of centered down to our south over Louisiana, and we're just getting increasingly southerly flow to pump into the mid-south. So some 70s coming our way the next couple of days. Could approach 80 in a couple of spots. Light winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. The occasional gust or two up around 15 or so. A little breezy overnight. Temperatures again will stay pretty steady in the 60s for the next few hours and then drop into the 50s overnight. So again, it's not overly cold tonight. There you see some of those upper 40s, low 50s by 6, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Clouds start to filter in, but I think they'll thin out again. So mostly sunny and mild and somewhat breezy conditions coming up for Tuesday. We'll talk about Wednesday's winds and the chance for a few showers with our next cold front coming up in just a bit.
All right, thank you, Tyler. Well, a group of death row inmates are taking legal action to stop executions that use Tennessee's new protocol. This comes as Tennessee prepares to resume executions following a nearly 5-year pause. In a new lawsuit, the inmates claim that the lethal injection protocol presents a high risk of, quote, torturous death. The Tennessee Department of Corrections developed the new protocol last year that uses the same lethal injection drug halted by the federal government. The lawsuit alleges TDOC is violating the U.S. and Tennessee constitutions. Well, bills aimed at reducing juvenile crime, regulating who can use which bathroom, and setting rules for hybrid learning in Tennessee were all up for key votes at the state capitol today. We've been tracking these debates for weeks now. So the House is voting on a bill that would require all residential education programs in Tennessee that allow children to participate to segregate all bathrooms and showers by which they call immutable biological sex. Sponsor Gino Brusso said that this proposal came after one of his constituents shared a story with him about sending his daughter to a summer program at a private university where transgender students were able to share the bathrooms with girls. Opponents say this bill is just overreached by the Republican majority. The agendas are full, and the House will also vote on a bill that seeks to hold parents responsible of their repeat juvenile offender. It would make parents or guardians financially responsible for any law enforcement expenses related to these calls. That would kick in starting with the juvenile's third offense. The House is also set to vote on a proposal that would lower the minimum age of school bus drivers from 25 to 21. Rutherford County lawmaker Mike Sparks advanced the idea as districts are struggling to find openings. And the House and Senate both are set to vote on a bill that would give school districts as well as charter schools an option of providing up to 4 days of classroom instruction in a hybrid learning environment in the event of severe weather or any other sort of emergency. Now find out if each bill passed tonight on the news at 5. Happening now, could the future of Shelby County Commission's grant program be in jeopardy following the recent indictment of Commissioner Edmund Ford Jr.? Well, commissioners are expected to start examining that program today and whether there should be a freeze on grants. WREG's Alex Coleman reports.
This week, Shelby County Commissioners will begin putting one of their own projects, the $2.6 million grant program, under the microscope to determine its future.
Well, we have a strong program, and I like to see it continued. We have some unfortunate things that have taken place. Again, like I said in the past, it's proven to be true. But again, we don't stop a great program just because we've had some bad incidents take place. No, there's nothing wrong with taking a look at it.
This comes after Commissioner Edmund Ford Jr. was indicted on bribery and tax evasion charges of grants he made on both the City Council and County Commission.
But again, this program been running pretty well over the years. You know, we have a situation now before us, and we felt as transparency to the community, we need to do something to let them know that practices and policies are in place to deter situations that many times happen.
Commissioners are now considering hitting the pause button on the grant program for at least 30 days. Appearing recently on WREG at 3 p.m., Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris says he's requested the suspension of Commissioner Ford's ability to propose grants until his charges are resolved.
We do know that that's the appearance, and that appearance can sometimes taint some of the work of Shelby County government and the commission. So I've asked that during the time of his prosecution for criminal corruption, that we put a pause on his ability to continue to make grants, which is the subject of the criminal corruption accusation. That
for now, the grant program is in the spotlight as some question whether the bigger issue is the way the program is run, or is it more so on Commissioner Ford's alleged conduct.
I do think the Community Enhancement Grant Program is one of the things that connects us as commissioners to our community. There have been a lot of great nonprofits and a lot of community programming that have been able to be beneficiaries of the grant program. That I don't think that's the problem. I think we just need to be very clear on what are our guidelines, and that all involved are very well aware of those guidelines.
That was WREG's Alex Coleman reporting. In a statement to your news leader, Commissioner Chair Michael Whaley said, quote, "My hope is that we explore any steps deemed necessary to strengthen the integrity of the program going forward," end quote. Commissioner McWright says, quote, "To restore public confidence in local government, I support a full investigation and reassessment of our policies and procedures," end quote. Next on the news at 4, reaching the masses, how the Arkansas Crisis Center is hoping to expand its outreach, and it might be one text message away. Plus, weekend storms wreak havoc on the southern part of the U.S., a look at how people across the nation are cleaning up in the moments that have them fearing for their life. And if you're thinking about heading to one city for spring break in Florida, think again. The way one city in the Sunshine State is cracking down on the spring break commotion. Well, due to a growing mental health crisis with children, the Arkansas Crisis Center says they're expanding its 988 text-to-chat services. Now here's why. Just a month ago, 988 Services offers an immediate 24/7 lifeline. It allows anyone going through a mental health crisis to call or text a local crisis counselor. And in that 1 month, over half of the chats came from minors. Now with the expansion of the Crisis Center, the center is now able to handle more texts and chats.
We're experienced and we've run this. We're going to be able to handle 2 texts at a time. And what this is going to let us do is essentially double the number of people texting us. And we're at that 600 texts and chats a month. We can now double that to 1,200.
And that was Joshua Gonzalez there. He's the president of the board of the Arkansas Crisis Center. And he says that this shows there is a mental health crisis in the natural state. So if you or anyone you know is experiencing a mental health crisis, call or text 988. Well, this past weekend, severe weather killed 40 people across 7 states. The storm brought high winds, tornadoes, and even wildfires. CBS's Jason Allen has a look at the impacts from Missouri.
Oh my God!
A severe storm system has pummeled the country, leaving a path of destruction.
Right here is where my room is.
9-year-old Alea Contreras convinced her family to evacuate their home in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, before a tornado barreled through Friday night.
I was like, we've stayed here through several tornadoes. It'll be fine. And then she was like, no, Mom, we need to leave.
Alea's mom, Kelsey Webb, heeded her 3rd grader's warning, driving away minutes before the tornado hit.
You feel pretty lucky that something inside you this time told you to leave?
Yeah, we wouldn't be alive.
Dozens across the country have died in the storm. In St. Louis, tornadoes ripped apart homes and businesses and flipped over tractor trailers. Winds up to 80 miles per hour gusted through the South and Midwest, with tornadoes tearing down homes in Louisiana and ripping trees from the ground in Arkansas. Hundreds of thousands are without power across the country. A state of emergency was declared in several states, including Alabama, where a tornado threw a bus on top of a school building. In Oklahoma, wildfires ripped through the state, fueled by strong winds and dry conditions. Crews are still battling the fires, many forced to evacuate, with 130 fires reported across the state. Deer were seen fleeing the flames.
It still doesn't feel real.
Kelsey Webb is urging her children to see the good through the destruction.
We're all okay. We're not injured. We're alive. All the stuff can be replaced.
Jason Allen, CBS News.
And just ahead on the news at 4:30, how one Mid-South town is cleaning up from Friday's severe weather. Well, it's spring break season and national parks are feeling the pressure of the Trump administration's policies. The Appalachian Trail is one of the many parks seeing effects from federal cuts. The Appalachian Trail Conservancy works closely with local volunteers and agencies to maintain the trails and different amenities. These cuts could mean that local natural attractions could look a little different this year.
Grounds might not be reopening, they already had a very thin staff to just do things like take out the trash, clean the bathrooms at the trailheads. I mean, even things people don't think about, like if a tree falls in the parking lot, getting that cleared.
They also rely on help from federal partners for trail projects, land protection, invasive species control, and wildfire prevention. This means projects like prescribed burns and landscape work may not move forward as they normally would with reduced capacity. Well, as spring break hits across the country, some cities in Florida are parting ways with it. In Fort Lauderdale, they've increased rules and patrols like no alcohol or loud music in certain areas. Police are out in full force in Miami Beach, where they've put in tough measures from curfew to $100 parking fees, reinforcing the message Miami Beach is not interested in being a spring break party destination like we've seen before.
A decade or more, we had year after year, and really a small area of our city on Ocean Drive, a couple of blocks, but what we saw was a level of lawlessness and chaos that should never be tolerated, is not acceptable.
And it's happening all throughout the Sunshine State. Popular destinations for Mid-Southerners like Destin, Fort Walton, and Panama City are all seeing stricter rules. Alcohol and smoking are banned on some beaches until mid-April.
I hope everybody's doing okay. Thankfully, not a ton of damage locally in our viewing area. There were some spots, though, fringes of our viewing area that did have some issues, and we had a lot of wind and rain, so we just need some calm weather. Nice to have some cooler temperatures as well. Yesterday was kind of chilly. Today, wall-to-wall sunshine, and after a cold start this morning, which included a lot of 30s, we've rebounded pretty good here for this afternoon. Most of us up into the 60s now. It was 33 in Blytheville this morning, so approaching the freezing mark in a few places. Had a 38 in Tunica. Memphis International started off at 38 degrees as well, a little below average for mid-March. We're up to 69 now, so approaching 70. I think we'll be a bit warmer the next couple of days, but gusts approaching 40 on Wednesday. That'll come with a little bit of a rain chance as well. We'll get into all that in a second. Here's Storm Tracker 3S, and this is good to see. Just not much going on at all. Again, wall-to-wall, clear sky. You got a few clouds across central Arkansas gradually heading our way, but just high pressure over Louisiana, and southerly flow, most importantly, started to kick in. That's why we warmed up very quickly after the chilly start this morning. That southerly flow will keep pumping in warm air in the coming days. So again, yes, we're mild, but those winds will be quite gusty, as I mentioned, for Tuesday and for Wednesday, likely into Thursday as well. 68 in Millington, 66 in Somerville. You're at 69 in Holly Springs. Everybody topped out yesterday in the 50s, so this is a big jump. 68 in Olive Branch and 68 in Senatobia. A lot of spots mid to high 60s this afternoon. Pretty nice. 63 over in Corinth and 68 in Oxford. Not in a hurry to cool down this evening. I think generally speaking, we're a whole lot warmer tonight than we were last night. Pleasantly cool. We'll go for temperatures upper 40s, low 50s early tomorrow morning. Quiet weather for now, but it will be gusty tomorrow. As I said, Wednesday gusty as well, and our rain chances will be there on Wednesday. It's not incredibly high, like 30% with some passing showers, maybe a quick moving thunderstorm, but really no severe threat with Wednesday's rain chance. Temperatures this evening, again, do start to drop off into the 50s the next few hours, but then they level off after 10, 11 o'clock. We'll lose a few more degrees by sunrise, mostly high 40s, low 50s, so it's a solid 15-degree, 20-degree improvement in most places from late last night. We'll warm things up quickly tomorrow. Some clouds in the morning. That'll give way to scattered clouds for the afternoon, but no rain chance Tuesday. We're already by lunchtime up around 70. Then the afternoon highs are in the mid-70s. A couple spots could approach 80 the next couple of afternoons. Again, not much going on tomorrow, just a few more clouds and gusty winds. By Wednesday, we'll start mixing in a little bit of a rain chance. The bigger story, I think, is just the winds approaching 40 miles per hour at times Wednesday afternoon. The rain chance isn't incredibly high. We get some fast-moving showers as our next cold front goes by, perhaps a quick rumble or two of thunder, especially across West Tennessee and North Mississippi. And then we'll clear things out heading into Thursday, but it will be a bit cooler with highs back into the 50s. Pretty pleasant overall. Tomorrow afternoon is mild. but breezy. Again, those wind gusts will approach 30 at times. We'll have some scattered clouds, but we'll say mostly sunny overall for your Tuesday. Increasing clouds on Wednesday, a few passing showers. Again, fast moving showers. The rain chance about 30%. We're mild again, but those winds will be whipping Wednesday afternoon. Cooler Thursday, and they'll start warming things back up heading into the weekend. Looks like another system will approach us Sunday. We'll have to keep an eye on that for at least a low end chance of some storms.
All right, thanks, Tyler. Well, the deadline to get your real ID is quickly approaching, but what exactly is a real ID and how do you get one before the deadline? We have the answers to those questions next. We have a recall alert for you. If you drive a Cadillac or maybe a Chevy Camaro, General Motors is recalling more than 90,000 cars, all due to a transmission issue that could lock your front wheels while you're driving. If you are one of those owners, the company should let you know by next month. Dealers will fix that issue for free. In a health alert, sleep health is always top of mind, but now some new research is showing that a good night's sleep schedule could be just as important or more important than how many hours of sleep you get. Sleep medicine psychologists say that your circadian rhythm, or your body's internal clock, is vital when it comes to sleep health. Evidence shows having a consistent sleep schedule shows better health outcomes years down the line. Well, you may have to get a new ID if you want to board a plane. In today's Political Minute, News Nation's Blake Berman details a new travel requirement that we'll see go into effect nationwide.
Check your ID. I'm Blake Berman, host of The Hill on News Nation. Summer is just around the corner, which means more Americans will be boarding flights to take vacations across the country. But soon, you will need what's known as a real ID to board a plane in the U.S. If you don't have one, you may need to provide another form of identification, like a passport. So what's a real ID? Well, Congress passed the Real ID Act in 2005 in light of the September 11th terrorist attacks. The law established a national standard for states to issue IDs. It will be enforced starting on May 7th. To obtain a real ID, you'll need documentation that shows your full name, date of birth, social security number, 2 proofs of address, and your lawful status. Now, many states already have implemented measures for years, so check your wallet. If there's a star on your ID, you're covered. I'm Blake Berman, and this is the News Nation Political Minute.
All right, well, time's ticking. Well, coming up next on the news at 4:30, a Tennessee Highway Patrol vehicle was shot at, but it's where it happened that's causing some concern. Was that trooper outside of its jurisdiction? Find out next on the news at 4:30.
From WREG in Memphis, this is News Channel 3 at 4:30.
Topping your news leader at 4:30, cleanup is underway after parts of the country were ravaged by severe storms and tornadoes. Sadly, 6 people were killed in the state of Mississippi, according to the governor. Thanks for sticking with your news leader here at 4:30. I'm Noah Sershin. The National Weather Service reports 12 tornadoes touched down in the Magnolia State from Friday night through Sunday. WREG's Tia McKenzie went to the Grenada County, nearly 90 minutes away from Memphis, where she found neighbors helping neighbors.
Countless volunteers have dedicated their time and energy to helping those in need. From food and water to clothing and shoes, there is a need here in Grenada County. Clothes are organized by size and tables are stocked with supplies at Elliott Baptist Church.
You see it on Facebook, you see it on news, and it's nothing compared to driving through here and seeing people that you know, people that you love, and their houses being completely destroyed.
Despite having no power in the area, the resilience of the community shines through.
It was heartbreaking. The damage was heartbreaking. And I tell you, like I said, I slept right through it on Friday night. But when I got up on Saturday morning and went down 8, I just said, thank God that no one was killed in this storm.
Volunteer Morgan Eskrich says people from as far as China have donated money. Folks as near as Memphis have given food and clothes.
Just everybody's, from a shovel to a rake, pair of gloves, people are getting out and cleaning up, and just any little thing helps. People are asking, what can we do? What can we do to help? We've set up a Venmo that people can use. but boots on the ground. We have people here who may not can afford to hire a company. They may not have home insurance. So it's just so important that people help people.
Several food trucks are helping out free of charge, including Grub 662, which travel from Calhoun County. You can visit our website at WREG.com to see how you can donate. Reporting in Elliott, Mississippi, Tia McKenzie, WREG News Channel 3.
Thank you, Tia. In Arkansas, people were hard hit by Friday night's storm. The National Weather Service says an EF4 tornado caused a lot of damage in the small town of Diaz. That's in Jackson County, outside of Newport. This means winds were nearly 200 miles an hour. WREG's Mike Sirianni traveled to Diaz. We'll have the latest tonight on the news at 6. In a crime alert, the Tennessee Highway Patrol is trying to figure out why someone shot at a state trooper's vehicle. Memphis police say this happened in the area of Addison and Orchie in the Nutbush area just after 2 this morning. The trooper was not injured, but hours later, Germantown police say they found the suspect's vehicle and detained 2 people. Your news leader has asked THP about those people and why that state trooper was in the neighborhood since it isn't a state road. We'll let you know when the agency responds. Memphis police are on the hunt for 2 women who stole nearly $5,000 in merchandise from Bath & Body Works. Police say it happened over a 2-day span last week at the Bath & Body Works off of Poplar Avenue in the Oak Court Mall. Police say the 2 women took body care and fragrance items on March 14th and 15th. No arrests have been made. Call Crime Stoppers at 901-528-CASH with any tips. Tens of billions of dollars of aid for Hurricane Helene victims is set to start flowing in later this month. Now, Congress set a deadline of March 21st when it passed a $100 billion disaster relief package when it passed last December. According to the National Centers for Environmental Information, Helene is the 7th most expensive disaster since 1980, causing an estimated $78 billion in damage and 219 deaths. Happening now, the severe weather has made its way out of here, but is leaving behind some windy conditions. Oh, and Old Man Winter? Well, he hasn't fully left us yet. Chief Weather Expert Tyler Eliason joins us now with the latest on our forecast.
Hope everybody's doing okay here, enjoying the cooler temperatures the last couple of afternoons. Yesterday was quite chilly, had highs in the 50s. After a cold start this morning, we've rebounded nicely. Plenty of sunshine. It's all about southerly flow warming us up fast. 69 degrees. I think we'll have widespread mid-70s the next couple of days on Wednesday afternoon. Southerly flow and a few clouds off to our west, but those aren't rain-making clouds. We're high and dry here for the next 36 hours or so. We'll get a few showers to pass through coming up on the more southerly flow we're going to get, and that's what it's all going to be about the next 48 hours or so. But again, those 64 over in West Memphis. Everybody into at least the mid-60s this afternoon. Blytheville 66. You were 33 degrees this morning in Blytheville, so that's a big jump over the course of the last 6-7 hours or so. Temperatures this evening fall down into the mid to high 50s. I think overnight we'll cool off a bit more, but it's not going to be nearly as chilly tomorrow morning as we were this morning. We'll start off mostly in the high 40s, lower 50s. Pretty substantial warm up compared to, again, early this morning. Mild air courtesy of southerly flow. And tomorrow afternoon, as we have gusty winds, they're out of the south. It'll warm us up fast again. Already high 60s by lunchtime, afternoon highs. 74, 75 in most places, could approach 80 in a couple of spots. Back in just a bit, we'll talk more about these winds the next couple days and that rain chance on Wednesday. I'll see you in a few.
Thanks, Tyler. There's a new bill aimed at clearing homeless camps in Tennessee and passed the state Senate. This bill calls on TDOT to create a policy for cleaning up personal property found near state roads. The department would also work with transitional housing agencies. A 72-hour vacant notice would be required before anything is removed from those sites. A phone number to call and an address for property retrieval would also be posted. The bill will be heard in the House Education Subcommittee as soon as this week. A bill has been introduced in the volunteer state that will give some extra financial assistance to people that care for loved ones with Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia. Bill Johnson is in Johnson City with how the bill came to be.
Alzheimer's can affect both those who are diagnosed and those who are caregivers. Vanderbilt student Jackson Noland witnessed this firsthand.
I have a family member with Alzheimer's, and while it's been sad to see him kind of decline, really the saddest experience has been seeing my grandmother kind of decline as he's declined, and seeing her health take a toll as well as his.
Noland is originally from the Tri-Cities and has been researching since high school how caregiving can affect the quality of life. He says he wants to help take some of the burdens off of caregivers.
What I found is there's just a tremendous impact on being a caregiver, where you have so much higher levels of burden than your similarly aged peers and so much lower of a health-related quality of life.
He decided to draft legislation and reached out to local representatives, including House Representative Renee Jones.
His story really touched me and resonated with me as he was telling me about, not only the burden that was causing financially, but on her physical well-being, and as well as just her identity.
Jones says the bill will provide a $6,000 grant to qualifying families to help with expenses that come with caregiving. Qualifications include the patient being diagnosed with Alzheimer's or a different type of dementia, the caregiver being a family member, and the caregiver needs to be caring for the patient in their home. Jones also cites research saying similar grants have had a positive impact in other states.
It might pay their property taxes. It just might relieve some burden, financial burden on them. The assistant helps provide a better quality care for the patient as well.
Along with local representatives, Nolan reached out to Alzheimer's Tennessee. They have since endorsed the bill.
There are also times that caregivers have to step away from jobs. Many times all of their needs, desires, wants, and sometimes health is put on the back burner.
Nolan's goal of the bill is for caregivers to feel some relief in their life.
I just would like to see the impact on that. I'd like to see how it can improve the quality of life. I'd like to see some of those caregivers be able to regain some of the loss of identity that they have.
That was Belle Johnson reporting. The bill will be voted on by both the State House and Senate later this week. If passed, it will be applied to the Department of Disability and Aging. Hot tea leaves Starbucks in hot water. The lawsuit one customer filed against the coffee chain for being burned. But first, President Trump is still going ahead with using a controversial wartime act to deport Venezuelan gang members. Why some people say this mass deportation plan is just wrong, and an update on the presence of the gang here in Tennessee. And now is a good time to download WREG's new streaming app. All you have to do is search for WREG Plus in your Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple TV App Store. The news at 4:30 continues right after this break. President Trump is set to attend a Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts Board meeting today. This after dissolving the board and naming himself chairman in a move to end, quote, woke programming. Meanwhile, legal reactions fly after Mr. Trump invoked a little-used wartime law to deport accused gang members. Torian Small has that and more from our nation's capital.
President Trump is pushing ahead with his mass deportation plan while disregarding a federal judge's ruling about the deportation of alleged Venezuelan gang members over the weekend. The government of El Salvador released video of what it says are planes from the U.S. carrying nearly 250 Venezuelan migrants, many accused gang members. President Trump invoked the Alien Enemies Act to carry out the quick deportations without the usual legal steps.
This is a time of war because Biden allowed millions of people, many of them criminals, many of them at the highest level. These were bad people.
On Saturday, a federal judge ordered the flights to return to the U.S., but the Justice Department said the planes had already left U.S. territory, so the courts had no jurisdiction.
I stand by everything we did this weekend, and I think the president keeping his promise to the American people.
The Alien Enemies Act has only been invoked 3 times in U.S. history. President Trump's use of it in this circumstance has sparked lawsuits.
The law is crystal clear that it can only be used in a declared war or where a foreign government or nation is actually and militarily invading our country. That is not the situation here.
President Trump is also warning his political rivals that they are now subject to investigation, even though many of them already received preemptive pardons from former President Biden. In a social media post, Trump claims Biden's pardons of members of the January 6th Select Committee are void because he says Biden's signature was done by AutoPen, and he claimed without evidence that Biden was unaware of the pardons. Among those who received preemptive pardons, Democratic Congressman Benny Thompson and former Congresswoman Liz Cheney. Adam Kinzinger, former Republican congressman from Illinois and member of the January 6th committee, posted a video on X mocking the president's threat of an investigation, telling him to bring it on. Torian Small, CBS News, the White House.
Meanwhile, here in the volunteer state, the director of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation says agents are digging in against a well-known Venezuelan gang and those affiliated with drug cartels. Director David Roush first discussed the presence of the gang known as TDA in Tennessee a few months ago. Speaking before the House committee, Roush said law enforcement is reporting progress.
Continue to capture individuals connected to that violent gang and hold them accountable. And we'll continue those efforts as well as the efforts with all the other, the organizations that are here. I mentioned the cartels. We have had a lot of impact on cartel members and those affiliated with those cartels in our state, and those individuals have been brought to light.
The director says the TDA gang establishes their presence in the U.S. through human trafficking and from there moves on to other types of organized crime. With the clock ticking, the Trump administration is hopeful a deal will be reached soon between TikTok and the U.S. The platform was struck with the ban unless it severed ties with its China-based parent company. TikTok was given 75 days as a reprieve after Trump took office. The president said talks are underway with 4 groups to take over. TikTok has not said if it plans to sell, but the Trump administration is willing to extend the deadline if necessary. Starbucks is facing a multi-million-dollar fine this afternoon after a man says he was burned by the chain's tea. It happened in Los Angeles, and right now you're taking a look at that surveillance video from the drive-thru. You can see it right there. It's showing a barista giving a man 3 teas in a drink carrier, but one of them was seemingly unsecured. The cup then spills, and the man's lawyer says he suffered third-degree burns. A judge ordered the coffee giant to pay $50 million. $50
million for a third-degree burn? I was shocked at first. I thought to myself, why so large? But then when I looked at the actual injuries and also a way to try to kind of send a message to Starbucks.
Starbucks plans to appeal the ruling. In a statement, the company says it sympathizes with the man, but disagrees with the jury's decision that it was at fault.
Guys, beautiful day today. We warmed up nicely after yesterday. We had highs in the 50s, 60s today. That's been pretty comfortable. That was after morning lows that were down in the 30s, close to the freezing mark in Blytheville this morning, 33 degrees. Not going to be nearly as cold tonight. Generally expecting more so 40s and 50s early tomorrow. Temperature now sitting at 69. It's been a nice afternoon, warmed up fast, really just thanks to southerly flow. That southerly flow will be much more strong in the coming days. Today it's only been around 10-15 miles per hour. Tomorrow I think we'll have some gusts up around 30, and then Wednesday could have some gusts up around 40 miles per hour. So breezy or gusty, but it is going to be quite mild. The next couple afternoons I have highs in the 70s. Quiet weather for now, not as cold tonight. Again, gusty winds on the way the next 48 hours or so. Our next rain chance not until Wednesday. So that same time frame that we'll have some pretty gusty winds Wednesday afternoon up around 40. We'll also have some fast moving passing showers going by with our next cold front. For now, things are quiet. Not much going on. Got a couple of clouds building across central Arkansas headed our way. We'll get a few more clouds late tonight, but generally just high pressure and control kind of down south of us over Louisiana. We're kind of on the cusp here of getting into some of that southerly flow as the high moves east. We'll just get more and more of it in the coming days. So again, that's why it's tough for temperatures to fall at night. Will be more mild tonight and more mild tomorrow afternoon. Should easily be in the mid 70s the next couple of afternoons. 68 in Millington now, 68 for you folks in Olive Branch. Senatobia, you're at 68. Almost 70 over in Holly Springs at 69 degrees. It's 64 in Ashland, 64 in Corinth, 68 in Oxford, 66 in Blytheville. Everybody checking in with mid to high 60s and not in a hurry to cool off this evening. I would take the light jacket by 10 o'clock. We're in the lower to mid 50s, but that's going to be about it. Again, we'll cool off a few more degrees between there and sunrise, but it's mostly 40s and 50s to get your Tuesday going. There'll be a little bit more cloud cover in the morning. I do think we'll thin that out a bit as we get into the afternoon, so expect mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies tomorrow afternoon and a rapid warm up. We're into the upper 60s, close to 70 already by lunchtime, and afternoon highs will range from 74 to 76. I wouldn't be surprised for somebody to get close to 80 degrees the next couple of afternoons. No rain chance tomorrow, but again, as our next front approaches Wednesday, we'll start adding in a slight chance at least for some quick passing showers and maybe a rumble or two of thunder, but no severe weather expected with this next front. So just windy tomorrow, windy again on Wednesday. The clouds will, it whips on through, and once it does, cooler temperatures start pouring in. So by Thursday, our high temperature temperatures are back down into the 50s. So when you look at the week as a whole here, up and down a little bit, but that's kind of par for the course this time of the year. It is still mid-March. We're still going to get significant cold fronts. We will get some quiet weather back, though. Sunshine will be back Thursday afternoon. 51 tonight. Some clouds late. Overall, pretty pleasant. Again, not as cold as last night. Tomorrow, we're back into the mid-70s. Should be a nice day. Other than the breezy conditions, it's a pretty nice afternoon. Those winds will be out of the south-southwest, 15 to 20 with a few gusts up around 30 miles per hour. It'll be even windy on Wednesday, and we'll have a few showers, a couple passing thunderstorms as well during the afternoon. Cooler Thursday. Highs drop back into the upper 50s. We warm things back up a bit Friday and Saturday, and then another cold front with potential for a few storms comes our way the second half of the weekend. So overall, not too bad. A lot of quiet weather mixed in between these next few fronts, guys.
Oh, we know we like the quiet. Thanks, Tyler. Still to come on the news at 4:30, measles cases are rising across the U.S. The symptoms you need to know about to keep your family safe. And you might be able to run a red light in Arkansas legally. Why some people think this proposed bill could be dangerous to drivers and pedestrians. And do you see news tips happening in your neighborhood? We'd love to hear from you. Call WREG at 901-543-2333. Email newstips@wreg.com, or you can just message us on our Facebook page. We'll be right back. And a health alert, you may be hearing reports about measles in the news, but not know what to look out for. This highly contagious virus can spread quickly. The CDC reports 301 total measles cases in 15 states so far this year. 280 of those cases are connected to the outbreak, including the one in Texas making headlines. No outbreaks have been reported in the Mid-South, so what should you be looking out for? Measles often begins with a cold or flu-like symptoms. A few days later, tiny white spots may start to appear inside the mouth. By day 3 to 5, a red blotchy rash. Some people recover without issues, but measles can lead to pneumonia, brain swelling, and death in rare cases. The vaccination provides a strong protection. If you or your child may have been exposed or show symptoms, call your doctor immediately. Trader Joe's lovers, listen up to the story. The chain is recalling more than 60,000 units of this sparkling water. The Consumer Safety Commission says that they could crack and cut you. Your newsleader was told that they were sold in 12 states, including right here in Tennessee, between December and January. So far, no injuries have been reported. Coming up today on News Channel 3 at 5, Memphis police say a fire costed them thousands of dollars in damages to a Matter trolley car. What your newsleader is learning about the arsonist today. We'll have that story and more next on the news at 5. Tyler's in next with a final look at your forecast. Job seekers in the Mid-South, listen up. We have some jobs for you. The YMCA of Memphis in the Mid-South is hosting a series of hiring events this month. And in April, the YMCA will be conducting on-the-spot interviews to fill positions for the upcoming summer camps. Tomorrow's hiring event will take place at Maples Memorial United Methodist Church in Olive Branch from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Visit the Memphis chapter of the Y's website for more information. In Tunica, Gold Strike Casino is holding a hiring event for full and part-time positions. The job fair is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Gold Strike's Buffet Americana. Available jobs range from marketing, kitchen, front desk, and so much more. Qualified candidates will be offered a job the same day. Just check out their website for more information. Well, being able to go on red, a proposed bill in the Arkansas Senate would allow drivers to run a red light under certain circumstances. Brian Kalewski spoke with drivers and law enforcement in the natural state.
When you're stopping at that stoplight and it doesn't seem to be changing and there's no other traffic, it just seems like you could have a better use of your time.
I have, because sometimes I have road rage, so yeah.
Ever been at a red light when no one else is there? A bill introduced by Senator Alan Clark would allow drivers to treat it like a four-way stop, but only if there are no other vehicles and any pedestrians in the area.
I think it could be a good idea, but you still have to be cautious. You know, us as, you know, adult drivers, you know, we've been on the road for a while. You know, we pay attention to a lot of things. You know, we can easily still be distracted.
Well, I think in theory it sounds like a really good idea, but every time we lessen a law, we run a slippery slope of having people that take advantage of a situation.
Law enforcement also thinks that while it sounds good, someone will always abuse it.
The challenges would be faced, accidents, who would be liable. It would just pose so many challenges around that.
If you do proceed to go straight and then a vehicle just come out of nowhere and sideswipe you or something like that, that's going to be a tough, you know what I'm saying, situation to look at.
I asked drivers how they feel about going on a red light without fear or any repercussions from police.
It would be cool. It would be cool to be able to rob a bank and not get caught too. But laws are made to be followed, not to be changed and broken.
There's no traffic coming. If I can go straight, then I'm going straight, you know, with no repercussions.
Been ingrained in us for so long, you know, you stop at red lights, you know, red lights mean danger. So, you know, still to me that there's a reason why they've got red lights, there's a reason why they've got stop signs, and those laws are set in place.
Well, that was Brian Kaluski reporting. The bill failed in the Senate, but it will be presented at a later date because the failed vote was expunged. Well, that does it for us here on the news at 4 and 4:30. Thank you all so much for joining us. Greg Hurst and Stephanie Skurlock are coming up next on the news at 5. Have a great afternoon.